What is up, everybody? This is JP representing jpfitnesspro.com. Today's video is going to be about how to help you fix some shoulder problems that you might be having, or to remedy some of that shoulder pain you have when you do your upper body workouts, or sometimes it can happen on lower body workouts. First thing to note before I get into the video is that this video and the information that I'm going to give you is not meant to replace anything that a doctor or a physical therapist would say. I'm not saying that what they say doesn't matter. You know, listen to your doctor, listen to your physical therapist. I am neither of those. This is just my, with my expertise and my knowledge, these are things that I'm going to tell you to help fix some very minor shoulder pain that you're having. If you have some type of extreme shoulder pain or something where you just can't move your arm at all, again, I always recommend going to your doctor first, maybe getting that checked out, an MRI done, something like that, to see if there's anything severe. But if you're just having some light shoulder pain, some shoulder impingement, I'm going to give you some tips to help remedy that. And if you stick with these tips, hopefully it doesn't return in the long run and you can do some of those exercises that you want to be doing. All right, the first thing that I think that people don't do and they need to be doing is to train your rotator cuff. The rotator cuff is made up of 4 muscles, and that's the subscapularis, the supraspinatus, the infraspinatus, and the teres minor. Now, the subscapularis, along with the chest, but the subscapularis primarily, and the chest too, internally rotates the shoulder. So from here, it internally rotates. You just rotate your arm inwards. The other 3 muscles, your supraspinatus, your infraspinatus, and your teres minor, externally rotate the shoulder. Now, with shoulder problems, typically people overwork their internal rotators with doing a lot of pushing exercises. And on top of overworking the internal rotators with pushing exercises and upper body pressing movements, they also sit in an internally rotated state. When someone's sitting down or they're at a desk, just bad posture, they're always sitting like this or some type of form like this. So on top of overworking these muscles, which gets them tight, they sit down like this, which gets them tight. So these are already tight. So you don't need to strengthen these anymore, your internal rotators, than you already have been doing. And this is the typical shoulder kind of problems that I see. Again, you might be an outlier and it might be the other way for you, but typically that's not what I see. So I'm going to focus on the external rotators for the most of this video. So again, internal rotation, external rotation. So because of the information I just gave you, you need to focus on 2 things. You need to focus on lengthening all this, stretching all this out, and then strengthening your external rotators. And because this is a video for someone who doesn't know where to start, and maybe is coming to this video because they have shoulder pain, this isn't going to be anything complex. They're not going to be complex exercises or complex stretches. They're going to be very basic stretches for you to start out with. So again, the first thing I recommend someone do is to train their rotator cuff. And again, since I said you're going to focus on the external rotators, I break it down into 3 different types of external rotations that you need to focus on. The first one is side external rotation. So with your arms at your sides, you're going to rotate externally outwards. Here's an example of some external rotations right now. These are done from the side. You can do these either lying down like shown in this clip, or you can do them standing up with a cable or band in this variation. Again, these are some ways you can do side external rotations. They're very basic. It's not nothing complex. Again, you want to have good form, keep your elbow tight to your side. You don't want to use too heavy of a weight that you have to start using other muscle groups to kind of gimmick the weight up. Another version of external rotations that I recommend people do is high external rotation. So when your arm is abducted, basically in this motion. Here's a couple examples of external rotations done with a band here. You can also do this with a cable as well in this same fashion. I'm just doing this with a band because I don't have a cable at my house. But again, just like shown with the band here, you can also do that with a cable. You can also do it with dumbbells or plates as well. The reason why I'm using plates in this example is because that it's to emphasize that with these exercises, you're not going heavy. You're not going heavy. If this is the first time you've ever worked your external rotators in this fashion, you probably need to go 2.5 pound dumbbells or plates, nothing more than 10 pounds, nothing at all. That's way too heavy. So those are some high external rotation exercises you can do right there. The last one would be a face pull, and here's an example of a banded face pull that can also be done with cables. And again, this face pull is a compound movement. It's not an isolation movement like the other two. So this face pull can be done as an actual upper body, upper back exercise if you want to implement it into your program that way. But those are the three basic variations of external rotations exercises that I recommend you do and implement into your program if you haven't already. Now, I recommend doing each variation one time a week. So you're doing 3 days a week where you're doing external rotation work. For the side and the high, I want you to do 15 to 20 reps, 2 to 3 sets for each one. So on one day of the week, you want to do your side external rotations as shown earlier, 15 to 20 reps, 2 to 3 sets. Another day, you want to do your high external rotations, 15 to 20 reps, 2 to 3 sets. And then on the third day of the week, you want to do your face pulls, again as shown earlier, 9 to 12 reps, 2 to 3 sets. The reason why I do 9 to 12 reps is because the face pull is a compound movement. You're going to be able to load it up a little bit more than you would have the other two. And the face pull also targets your traps and your rhomboids too in this movement. So you don't want to do these back-to-back days, and you don't want to do these training to failure. You do not want to do these training to failure. Again, you're trying to strengthen them. You're not trying to destroy them right now. I do recommend getting about 2 to 5 reps within failure. So I would say train at a 5 to 8 RPE during these movements. So those are 3 exercises you can implement. Oh, also too, I recommend doing them at the end of your workout, not at the beginning. You don't want to jump into a workout where your external rotators are already fatigued. So you want to do them at the end of your workout. Now, the next thing I recommend you do is to stretch all this out. That's another problem, is the fact that these have been lengthened from sitting like this, and these are already worked so much. You need to just stretch all this out. So in combination with doing these at the end of your workout, you can do these stretches at the end of your workout, or you can do them at a separate time. I just do not recommend doing the stretches before you do your workout. It's either after everything or on a completely separate time, maybe before you go to bed. But the 3 stretches are kind of similar to the exercises. You have a side external rotation stretch, just like this. Here's a clip of me doing a side external rotation stretch in a door. This is with both arms. You can do this in a doorway. You can do this at your gym if you have some type of power rack where you can put your arms up into it, but you want to do it as shown. The next stretch you want to do is a high external rotation. The high external rotation could be done single arm, which I want you to do both variations, or it could be done both arms at a time. So here's a clip of me doing it both arms at a time, and then next is a clip of me doing it just one arm at a time. So again, I want to do each one is a separate day as well. So you have your side external rotation stretch, then you have your high external rotation stretch single arm, and then you have your high external rotation stretch both arms. You want to do each one on a different day, and you want to preferably have them a day separated apart, just because you want a very high frequency throughout the week. If you cram all these stretches in one day, you're now only stretching your internal rotators one time a week. And again, I'm saying external rotation on these because you're externally rotating the arm when you do these, but you're stretching your internal rotators. You're stretching your chest, your subscapularis, your front delt, all at the same time. So that's what you're actually stretching, but you're externally rotating the arm when you do it. So again, and then you want to hold each stretch, whatever day you're doing these on. So let's just say day 1, you're doing a side external rotation stretch that stretches your internal rotators. You want to hold it for 30 seconds a minimum, so 30 seconds to a minute. You want to do 2 sets. For the high external rotation stretch that stretches your internal rotators, you want to do, again, if you're doing both arms, you're doing both arms at the same time, 30 seconds each set for 2 sets. And then you're going to do single arm, 30 seconds for each arm, and each arm done is 1 set. You want to do it for 2 sets. Now, if you have extra time throughout your day and you're not super busy, I recommend doing all of these stretches on one day, all of these stretches on another day, and then all these stretches on a third day. So you're going to do all these stretches in one session, but 3 times a week. If you're busy, that's fine. Some people are super busy, they don't have time. I would do a minimum of one type 3 times a week. But again, if you have time, you want to do all of them on one day. So again, step 1 was strengthening your external rotator. Step 2 is stretching all of this out. So if you do this over time, what's going to start slowly happening is you're going to start having better posture. You're not going to be hunched over like this. All of these muscle groups and bones and ligaments and tendons are going to stop grinding as much against each other. You're going to have some room basically to move in here. So the last thing I recommend you do is change some exercises, at least in the beginning. And depending on your goals, you might want to just change them forever. So the reason why I say this is because a lot of people, when they get shoulder pain to begin with, there's a specific pattern of exercises that typically affect that person. 2 of the most popular exercises that cause this pain in the shoulder is, 1 is an overhead press of some sort. You probably did an overhead press and you realize that every single rep there's pain. And it might have gotten so bad to the point, like your shoulder impingement might have gotten so bad to the point where it was hard to even lift your arm overhead. And hopefully that was just shoulder impingement and not something worse, but shoulder impingement can get as bad as that you can't even move your arm over your head really. So again, is an overhead press. Now what I recommend changing this to would be to change this, we'll remove it completely for 1 if you don't mind doing so and you want to replace it with another exercise. Maybe just completely remove overhead press. Depending on your goals, that might be okay to do. Let's just say you don't want to remove it. You like doing overhead press to some extent. You want to build your delts. You're a bodybuilder, or it's just a fun exercise for you. What I recommend is replacing that with a landmine press. And no, I'm not V-Shreds. I actually give credit where credit is due. I did get that from Jeff Cavalier. That is a really good replacement exercise as a landmine press. Now, I've heard a landmine press for years from multiple different places, but I heard it from him first that that's a good replacement for an overhead press if you have shoulder pain. So again, replace the overhead press with the landmine press. And again, you could look up landmine press on YouTube or anywhere. You're just putting a barbell at an angle leaned up against something, and you're pressing the barbell away from you. So basically your elbows are a little bit tighter instead of being out here like a traditional overhead press. Again, or you might just want to remove it completely depending on your goals. The next exercise would be a lateral raise. Lateral raises, again, this is an isolation exercise, and it's not oh my god, huge delt builder. Yes, it will build the lateral heads of your delt or your side delts pretty well. But again, if you're not a bodybuilder or you're not really want to target that part of your shoulders, you might just want to remove it completely or limit it. Or even just go lighter on it in general. Maybe limit it to just 1 or 2 sets, 1 time a week. Don't go to failure. You don't need to go to failure on it. Again, lateral raise is an isolation movement, so you can keep an overhead press movement in your workout program and just remove lateral raises if that doesn't bother you too much. Again, that's just something that you're going to have to experiment with and see for yourself. But again, if you're a bodybuilder, you may want to keep lateral raises in. Maybe instead of going with a dumbbell, try cables. Try switching to cables, and then try limiting the exercise. Try limiting it using cables, and then also try not going as hard throughout the workout. Again, maybe getting rid of it. Just trying different things, experimenting with your body. But again, if you do these 3 things, I guess one more thing to note when it comes to exercise changes is also look at your ratio of pressing movements to pulling movements. If you have more pressing movements and less pulling movements, you may want to kind of balance out that ratio as well. So I guess that's something else to look at in regards to exercise changes, is looking at your whole program and seeing the ratio. I heard a wise comment before from someone, I don't know where I got it from, so if you made it up, thank you, but someone said that a lot of people tend to just like to work their push muscles or their show muscles, which is kind of, there is a truth to that, because some people, if they can't see it, they don't really want to work it that much. You know, they want to work their biceps because when you're standing in the mirror, you can see it. They want to work their chest. They want to work their shoulders. So again, just make sure you have at least some type of proper balance or ratio of pulling to pushing exercises. But these are my 3 tips. Again, train your rotator cuff, stretch all this out, and then watch your exercise selection, and watch the ratio of pushing to pulling movements that you have. If you do these 3 things over time and start your program all the way back from the beginning, start doing all these things. You might want to only do steps 1 and 2 for 2 to 3 weeks before you even start working out again, just to make sure that your shoulders have proper mobility and they have proper stabilization from strong rotator cuffs. Then after 2 to 3 weeks of just doing steps 1 and 2, you may want to start doing your workout program back again, but doing it with the modified and changed exercise selections and things like that. So doing that over time, if you stay on the stretches and you stay on training your rotator cuff and you have proper form and proper exercise selection, your shoulders will improve over time. But if you guys have any questions, comments, please post them down below. Please like this video, subscribe if you like my content, share this video with a friend that you know that has jacked up shoulders and just like going through the workout anyways. But until next time, I'll see you guys later.